Hey everybody, what's
Hey,
going on?
what's
So
going on, y'all?
look who I have here. I have Sobriety in Black, and he's gonna tell us about his book, about his recovery story. So let's get into it. Tell us about your book.
Yeah. My name is Hanief Saterfield. My book, Sobriety in Black, it's essentially about my journey. I'm 11 years sober, so living alcohol free for the past 11 years. Yeah, thank you. And it's essentially, like I say in my book, it's part memoir, part manual. So the first half of it is about the history of the African Americans and their relationship with alcohol since we've gotten here in America, right? Because there's a lot of backstory that I think a lot of people don't know about with regards to our relationship with alcohol and how it was kind of crafted for us. And
Mm,
yeah, so I start with that to give a little historic background on our relationship with alcohol, and then I get into my personal story. My first encounter with alcohol, the day I actually became a full blown alcoholic. My career, as I say, because the subtitle is it's sobriety. The full title is Sobriety in Black: Confessions of a Retired Alcoholic. So I talk about my not so illustrious career as an alcoholic, a few things that happened, DUIs, some losses. And then I get into, and so that's the memoir part, my personal story. And then I get
mm,
into my process as far as what I went through in order to uh, kick the habit, in order to retire, and what I do
right,
to make, continue to be retired, never going back.
right, right,
Yeah, I use the word retired alcoholic to kind of just keep me mindful of the fact that just like in a job, you can retire, but that doesn't mean you can't go back to work, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's in a nutshell. That's the book, and so I conceptualized my process because I had a lot of people who I used to drink with and people who had seen my transformation ask me, how did you do it? A lot of them looked like me, and they had certain complaints about when they went to types of meetings and other processes, that things that they felt were missing. And so I kind of, thought about that and wrote down what my thoughts and just kind of wanted to share it with the world, hoping I could help somebody else.
That is awesome. I love that. Absolutely. Part memoir, part manual. I
Yeah.
love the way you put that. That's awesome. So, was alcohol your only drug of choice, or was there any drugs or anything?
Not drugs. I smoked a little weed, but
Okay.
mainly it was alcohol. That was my, first love. That was the addiction of choice. Uh,
Okay.
I didn't, I don't even know if I ever drank water, to be honest. Any other
Okay.
fluid. It was alcohol, all straight up and down for me. Yeah. But the
Yeah.
book can deal with any form of addiction because the framework you can insert any, and that's what I tell people, even if you're not, say, an alcoholic or in any kind of drug recovery, if
Mhm.
whether it's trying to quit, toxic relationships, negative thoughts, food, because those are all drugs, of the mind, body, and spirit as well. So,
Right.
I think it can be applicable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was my drug of choice as well with alcohol, but I cling to pretty much anything. Like I did cocaine, crack cocaine, meth at one point, um, pain pills, opioids, things like that. And so like alcohol, like it made me confident because I was never a confident person. Like even growing up, picked on, bullied. It made me feel good. It made me confident. It made me talk to people because I wouldn't socialize and stuff like that. It just, I guess it felt like it made me into the person that I wanted to be. And
Mm,
so no matter how far like I strayed away from or I went with other drugs, there was always alcohol in the mix. Like I would choose alcohol over any drug. I'd
yeah,
rather be, drunk than stuck. And you know what
right.
I mean? So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I was the same way. It was then I talk about that in the book. I say, hey, from a real perspective, we have to talk about, we talk about the negative things that alcohol, what it takes from you, but why do we drink? What were the positive things that we attributed to drinking alcohol? And it is
Hmm.
that confidence that, because I was the same way. I had a lot of friends, but because I kind of came into like, drinking kind of with the social aspect, it was a part of it. It was part of my social, and then it became part of my social identity. I was known as a drinker. So it was one of those things where even if I didn't want to drink, as soon as people saw me, it was, where's the drink at? So I couldn't get
Right.
from it if I, and that's one of the things that I think is a little different for us, for Black folks, as opposed to other groups. We all, we all suffer from addiction, but the social identity aspect is really, really strong. It is a real hard thing. It's a lot more difficult for us. I mean, we're the only group of people that I've seen, for the most part. I know, because as a teacher, I've met kids who were named after alcohol, and they almost mainly look like us, from your
Right.
Alizés. I've met an Alizé, a Hennessy, a Cavassier.
Right.
Other groups of people don't have. Imagine being a child named after an alcohol brand,
Yep.
And so there are a lot of things that, like I was saying, that I try to address in the book that kind of make our struggle a little different. Everybody's struggle is a different, just individually, but just as a
Right.
group too. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that.
you had some really, really good points there. Really, really good points. Because like we make it our identity. Like we make it, like if we go to a party, you know what I mean? Like you're expected to drink. If you go hang out with your friends, you expected to drink. If you do pretty much any family time, any cookout, anything within the Black community, it's you expected to drink, and then when you don't drink, they look at you like you crazy or try to peer pressure you into doing it. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I didn't think about that. Like I of course I've seen and heard of kids that's named
Right.
after alcohol, you know what I mean? But I didn't think about like what kind of like psychological things are they doing to these kids,
Right.
and it's imprinted in us. It's imprinted in us. Like we grew up with just alcohol, and
Right.
it's becoming, who we are. And if we don't stop it, it's glamorized. It's made to look like this great grand thing that you do for fun, and it's so unhealthy. It's so addictive, right? And it's like, why can't we promote something else for, something healthy? Why can't we promote that? Like
Right.
promote sober cookouts or sober
Right.
family time. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that's so true within our
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, and like in my book, I have a chapter talking about the drinker's jacket and how we put that
Mm,
jacket on. Like they talking
yeah.
to, the snitch jacket. Once you get that jacket, it's hard to take off. It's the same with the drinker's jacket, and there's a process I talk about. Like for me, where it started from, when people noticed that I was drinking more than before, if they called me a drunk, I'd say, nah, I'm not a drunk. I can handle my alcohol. I'm not I'd reject the label. I'd reject
Right.
the jacket. Then after a while, when everybody I'm around is drunk, and I'm
Mm,
listening to, rappers, and, that's another thing too. We're the only group of people that literally wear alcohol brands for clothing. Like I one
that's
neighborhood
true.
had three uncles, and they had like one had a Cavassier suit, one had, and
Yeah.
you put on the jacket. Like, yeah, I'm a drunk, but I'm a functional drunk. Yeah, I'm a big drinker. I
Right.
heard terms like, I won't trust you if you don't have a drink with me. Like, I can't trust
Mm,
a man that won't have a drink with me. Things like this, where we perpetuate, them being drunk is a matter of pride. Like, yeah, I can drink you under the table. I used to go into parties and, go for it shot for shot,
mm-hmm.
bottle for bottle, and it became, and people were attracted to it. So you get
Mm-hmm.
you get socially rewarded for taking this poison. And
Right.
that part of it for me was the hardest. Like I relapsed a few times, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
part for me was the hardest part to, deal with, because your friends, your family, like you said, I had favorite uncles that I drank with, you know what I'm saying, that I bonded with. I mean, I have a lot of positive. I'd be lying if I didn't say I had positive experiences that unfortunately were centered around drinking. And
Right.
changing that, taking that jacket off, saying, no, I don't drink. It's almost like a gangbanger saying, hey, I love you guys, but I'm not claiming the hood anymore. I'm not banging anymore.
Right.
I'm going to go to college, or I'm going to go do this, drive trucks or whatever. And there's that
Mm-hmm.
thought to come back, like, he done went and got good. I miss the old you. I've had people say that. I miss the drunk you.
Yeah.
I miss people you care about. And this is,
Mm.
that's a hard draw to deal with. And that's one of the main things I addressed in that is dealing with the social identity aspect. It's
Man.
a challenge, Kim. Yeah, it's a challenge.
It is. Identity is such, man, it's so big because like when I was out there, like people would call me crazy, but in a good way. And so I
Right,
started accepting the fact that I was crazy. I started embracing the fact that I was crazy. I thought it was cool, the coolest thing ever for
right.
me to be crazy. Oh, that crazy veteran over there. Oh, she got PTSD. You know how they think of all veterans anyway. Like
Yeah,
we're all addicts and criminals, but
yeah,
I started embracing that identity that I was crazy. And I
right,
liked who I was with the alcohol, being crazy, being out there, being wild, being willing to do whatever. I mean, things I would never do sober.
right.
Hanging out with people I would never even
Never.
run across, not
Yeah,
even in the same circles. I would
right.
never even, you know what I mean? I would literally drive by you. There's no reason why I would have to stop and say anything to you, but I'm literally hanging out with these people every day,
Yeah.
hanging on the corner, panhandling, trying to get $2.20, what, 23 cents, I think, for a bottle of was it KD?
Oh
Yeah,
man.
just to get that. Absolutely. If I had, listen, if I, at one point in my life, if I had a half a pint of KD in the morning, I was fine because that started my day.
Okay.
I would get, physically start shaking and throwing up and all this kind of stuff without the alcohol. That's how bad it got. But
Yeah.
that's who I made myself because I
Hmm.
felt like crazy was cool. Like it was this great thing
Yeah.
because everybody else was crazy who was drinking. So, hey, you got to fit in, get in where you fit in,
Right.
right?
Especially if you kind of never really kind of established an identity, then you find one. And
Mm,
even if it's a negative one or a destructive one, you're comfortable in it. Like, okay, this is who
that's
I
good.
am. And then another aspect of it is people around you, even if it's a negative identity, over time, people around you, they become comfortable with it
Mm-hmm.
because they know how to react to it. In the beginning, it may be unpleasant, but if once they know you for being the drunk, being the this, they're comfortable. And then when you make that change, like I tell people, positive change comes with an uncomfortability the same as a negative change. That's
Right.
for you and everybody around you. Because if people are used to you being, say, conniving, like whenever
Mm,
you're around, you're just a conniving person. And then
mm,
suddenly you show up and, you found the Lord, you're not stealing anymore, you're not doing conniving things. People
right.
they really look at you with suspicion, like, I don't know. I don't know the
Right.
behavior. Is this another, are you trying to fool me? What is this?
Right.
Why he's not going to change? And it's the same way with drinking. I mean, it really took me, I'd say, after maybe my fourth or fifth year, a lot of the
Yeah.
people that I was drinking with that would be like, man, he's not going to quit. And some of them got me to relapse a few times. They, they,
Mm-hmm.
they realized, for lack of a better term, it's stuck, right? My
Right.
sobriety stuck in that this is what I was married to. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when people started coming back to me. I hadn't talked to in a while, and they were like, people I've seen on Facebook that haven't seen me since I started drinking, and they're like, hey, how did you do it? And so
Right.
it does take time, and then TV promotes that identity, the crazy veteran thing.
Ooh,
There
yeah.
are movies about it. There are, your girls' trips, your hangovers, where
Right.
they indirectly glamorize the experience and kind of teach you that if you haven't had this experience, you're
Mm-hmm.
really not living. So
Right.
you've got all of this, not just your friends and people that are your quote unquote peers, but when you've got $30 million TV productions
Mm-hmm.
promoting this, you
Right.
watch boxing and you see Hennessy stamped everywhere, and then the people
Mm.
around you are drinking it, and then they're like, "Hey, man, come on, it's the new year, or it's a special occasion, or they're
Right.
trying to convince you." And I talk about the myth of moderation for an
Mm.
alcoholic. It is an absolute myth.
It
If
is.
you moderate, great. Just don't talk to me about it. I'm not, I don't do the part time.
Yeah.
I can't do the
Right.
time thing. You know what I'm saying?
What
So
is that anyway?
yeah, right. So have a nice day. That's not what I'm about. And yeah, it can be difficult. That's what motivated me to write the book.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so glad you did, cause, and like, tell me a little bit about your story. Like, when did you start drinking alcohol? And like, when did you know, like, this is a problem for me? Like, I don't want to identify as this alcoholic no more. Like,
Right.
yeah, I guess we can start there. Like,
Yeah.
where did you start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, it's my 21st birthday.
Okay.
You hear a lot of people who had been drinking when they were younger, and my story was it was literally like a light switch. On my 21st birthday, I was always kind of it was really more about, for me, it was like, oh, I get to walk into a liquor store and pull out my ID and I don't need anybody. I've been waiting for that day,
Oh
right?
yeah, that feeling.
Yeah, like, wow,
Yeah.
I was almost hesitant to walk in there. I walked in there and I think I got some E&J or something in a beer. And
Yeah.
it was literally like, not an alcoholic.
Right, right.
And it was off to the races. Like, there wasn't a day that went by where I wasn't drinking, when I was in
Hmm.
college, and of course, that is a breeding ground. It's kind of like the military, where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
drink is part of the experience. Like, it gets promoted to you. Like, if you're not drinking, like, you're not really doing it like that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I drank, and then, I got my first DUI. And the funny thing was, but the thing was, it was what they call a wet and reckless. So although
Mm.
I was stone drunk, for whatever reason,
Hmm.
uh, it was one of those things where it was kind of question. Oh, what it was because I was just parking. I had been looking for a club. A
Um.
friend of mine was performing, and I was looking for it. I was drunk and doing too many U-turns, and the cop was like, "Okay, hold on." So they followed me, but by the time they pulled me over, I was literally coming into park. So it was kind
Mm.
of one of those things where, honestly, if I had a lawyer, I probably would have got thrown out, but I didn't. And so
Yeah.
I ended up with what's called a wet and reckless. And so what that is, it's like, you pay a little bit of money. You don't have to necessarily do a program, but you pay a little money. It goes on your record. And then, like, within 7 years, if you get another DUI, they bump that one up. So it's considered
Mm.
two DUIs. And then at that point, you get treated like two DUIs. Well, of course,
Yeah.
a couple of years later,
Uh.
boom, got
Right. Right.
that's when couldn't drive. And at this point, I'm married,
Yeah.
18 months program. I'm dragging my family through this. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? No car. There were a couple times I tried to drive and I was just too nervous because I knew, if I get pulled over, it's off to jail, and jail absolutely terrified me.
Yeah.
So, I made it through that. And then that's when I knew, like, God, I gotta quit this. Like, I had lost jobs. My mom was alive, and me and my mom worked at the same school. I was a teacher, she was a counselor. There was a day where I woke up late. She had called me. I woke up late, like, oh, in the fog. Oh, shoot, I'm supposed to be at work.
Yeah.
And it was like she kind of knew, because she met me at the front door of the school. And when I walked in, I'm like, hey, Mom. She's like, go home. You got a flat tire. You're not walking into school. You smell like a brewery. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And that
Yeah.
I kind of knew, like, dang, my mom had to, like, not to say that she
Mm.
knew that I was a heavy drinker, but you couldn't tell me nothing. So, I defended,
Right.
it was like, you couldn't really tell me nothing. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, that's when it just kind of descended. And then I had got arrested for my third DUI.
Mm.
I have my son, matter of fact, this guy right here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
he was 5 at the time, and my baby girl, she was 3. He wasn't here yet. And
Yeah.
I had a nice day out fishing with a friend of mine who, I drank a lot with. He wasn't as bad as me, but
Yeah.
and I ended up getting arrested in front of my son. So, I
Mm.
mean, both of them were in the car, but I get arrested, and my friend ends up taking, the rest of my family home, and they pull up next to the cop car I'm in, and my
Hmm.
son's looking at me. He's confused, and he looks at his mom, and he says, Mommy, why is Dad in the back of that police car? And it was
Mm.
like right then, it was like, yo, like, I said, I can't do this to
That
them.
hit
Like,
hard.
to know me as a drinker. I said, whatever
Yeah.
I got to do, and that really is when I realized, because they say, you can't get sober for anybody else but yourself. But I
Right.
knew that, of course, with my family being a part of me, it's like, I got to do this. Like, I've been through the relapse thing over and over, and it's not worked. I've tried the myth of moderation. does not apply to the kid. This is it. It's either I'm done or I'm going to keep heading downhill. And
Mm.
I was this close to ending up getting locked up, and I was like, nah,
Yeah.
that life ain't for me. I'll watch it on TV, but I won't
Right.
watch true crime stuff. I ain't trying to be the kid, locked up. So yeah,
Yeah.
in a nutshell, that's kind of my timeline.
So the money alone from a DUI, I've had a DUI before. I was clean like a year and close to a year and a half. And
Right.
then in 2020, I relapsed. And like in 2020, I ended up getting DUI. I don't even remember getting in my truck. And my truck flipped 7 times. And I walked out of it literally without a scratch. It's only by the grace of God. Only.
Wow. I have a
And
sister who wrote a
right.
story about that, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. And so like I paying for the lawyer, right? Because you got to get a paid lawyer, otherwise you probably gonna go to jail. So I paid for a lawyer plus the fines. I mean, plus the court calls. It's like just that alone is close to what about $7,000. Let
Dollars.
alone us having to deal with, man, what if I would have hurt somebody else?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like our sober person cares about, like our the real us care
Right.
about stuff like that. When we
Right.
drinking, we don't think about stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, when we, yeah, like that's so big because so many things could have happened when we was doing all that stuff, man. But it didn't. And look at how far. Look at how far you come. Like, look how far we've come. What we're doing now, and how we're able to reach back in and grab other people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I know where that road gonna lead you. Don't go down that road, man. I'm
Don't
telling
do
you.
it. That's
And
real.
right,
And there's people sitting in jail with 30, 40-year sentences because
mm,
unfortunately they did hit somebody.
right,
And like I thought about that too. Like, man, I can't even, can't wag a finger at them because the only difference is there was just nobody in the road, or I just nobody around. And by the grace of God, seven
yeah,
times you flipped the cars.
7 times. Yep,
And
yep,
you're here moving with your faculty. God bless you, man. That is
yes, indeed.
wow. That is wild. Yeah, and I have a
Yeah,
matter of fact, a friend of mine. Um, uh, uh, she actually shared a story with me and allowed me to put it in the book where she talked about the
mm,
same thing. And she talked about,
mm.
especially as a woman, she said, as a woman that has a problem with drinking, it's even harder because being
Ooh,
a
man.
woman, guys, it's like, okay, you're a guy, you're an alcoholic, okay. But it's like
Right.
as a woman, you know what I'm saying? And then, there's almost an extra added stigma, and then there's an extra
Hmm.
shame to it that can
Yeah.
come with, being a woman that's in recovery and who you can talk to, and it's almost less socially acceptable
Right.
for a woman to be, an alcoholic, you know what I'm saying? Or,
Yeah.
it's just, and who can you go to, and, when you're a guy and you're like, yeah, I have a drinking problem. It's like, okay, we're not surprised. Guys, they drink, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
it's like, I have a drinking problem. It's like, it's different. And she talked about that, and I definitely think there needs to be more consideration, for you guys with regards to support, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
releasing that. I talk about shame and anger, really
Hmm.
dissipating that so that you can get on the road, and it's easier to recover loudly. And, shows like this, like what you're doing is a great,
Hmm.
I'm gonna actually try and get you in touch with her because I think that would be a great conversation for you to
Okay.
have with her. And then another friend of mine, Kenny Watson, he wrote a book. He's a veteran.
Okay.
He's a veteran. Yeah, yeah. Shout out to my man Kenny White. He wrote a book as well. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm currently reading it, and he talks about being a vet and being an alcoholic and the recovery
Mm.
process. So a lot of good people. I'm glad that you're doing this because there's a lot of good people that their story, can share their story with somebody that they can relate to. So this is
Absolutely.
fantastic. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Being a woman and having an alcohol problem, it's like, and then you got to watch who you drink around. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You gotta be, and then like when you to a certain point in your alcoholism, like you don't care. You know what I mean? All you want is that next drink. But for
Mhm.
us, we have to be mindful of who we drinking around, right? And
Yeah.
and what we're doing, even what we're wearing. Oh,
Yeah.
right, when we're drinking, there's so much that's attached to being a woman, and being an alcoholic, and like how we view ourselves and how we view the world, it gets distorted,
Right.
whenever we're drinking. Like, we're in this I don't care state of mind, but
Right.
we're in a real world. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, the real
Right.
world is still gonna happen,
It's still
even
gonna
when we in this I don't right, even when we in
right.
this I don't care
Predators
state of
out
mind.
here, people taking advantage
Yeah.
of you when you're drunk. Like you say, when you're a guy,
Mhm.
that's one thing. Best, we got get beat up or robbed. For you guys,
Right.
you got a whole lot of different types of assault that you can become a victim of when you're drinking.
Yeah.
And because I do have a publishing company. I know I'm just kind of, if you're
Awesome.
interested in writing a book, especially from
Yes.
that standpoint of being a woman and
Yeah.
in the recovery, I would love to have a conversation with you about helping you get
Let
that
me
book together.
figure
Seriously.
out how to. Oh, let me write that in the comments too. Oh, you can go ahead. I'm just
Oh,
writing.
okay, okay. I didn't know. But yeah, I would love to, because I have my I call it Black Crown Publishing, and I'm talking to a couple of other people. But I definitely think that a book in that regard, just whether it's about the process, dealing with those struggles,
Yeah.
and having a support, just more, like I always talk about, and this was one of the reasons why I wrote the book, and this was a quote that came after while I was writing it, but kind of live by. It's where it says, uh, when we recover loudly, we help keep others from dying quietly.
Mm.
And that is
Yeah.
like the motto for my life, and why I do everything I do with regards to the sobriety space is
Okay.
I'm recovering loudly. In the beginning it was uncomfortable, but now I've received, so much positive feedback and saying, now that you've done it, I feel, stronger, being able to come out in a sense, essentially, and say,
Yeah.
yes, I have this issue, or I've had this issue. Same with therapy. I kind of shot a video of my first therapy session to show people that, hey, and I tell people this about empowering language. It's not that you need therapy, it's that you deserve it. You deserve
Yes.
therapy. If you're a billionaire, you deserve to have accountants. That's
Mm.
financial therapy, right? So
Right.
that's financial. If you have a big house, you deserve to have maids or housekeeping. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
therapy for your home. So you deserve, I believe that every person, especially Black folks, every
Yeah.
Black man and woman and child
Yeah.
deserves a therapist, right?
Mhm.
And so, that those are kind of some of the conclusions I came to. Is like, I deserve to be in recovery. I deserve to live a life free of alcohol. I deserve to be confident without needing the bottle. I deserve,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying, to not burden myself financially with having to buy a bottle every time I'm out, or triple the amount of money I'm spending just to have a good time. I deserve to
Right.
figure out how to have a good time without it. I deserve to be in an environment that supports and affirms my sobriety and doesn't bug me about drinking. I'm very
Yeah.
selfish in my sobriety. My thing is, if you don't make it comfortable for me, I'm out of here. Like, if I feel like it's an issue, or I'm going to be the combative one. Like, my sobriety outside of these three right here, my
Yeah.
sobriety is the greatest gift that I was ever got the privilege of earning, right?
Yes.
Every day. And so I defend it with everything. And I tell
Mm.
people that, like, I've almost gotten into fist fights, behind people just offering me a drink. It's like, look, I told you I
Right.
could drink. You get one time for that. And then after that, I take it personal.
Mm. Yeah, you have to.
And I just believe that as we do that, and more people are able to do that, then the world will accommodate us. You know what I'm saying? It
Mhm.
will accommodate us. And that's what, my book is about. That's what, talking on, to people like you and connecting with people like you is about, is so that people know, also people know that they have a support system, for
Right.
us. Like, hey, especially Black folks who are trying to, in recovery, it's like, hey, we're out here. You know what I'm saying? We're living lives. We're not like in some corner scared to come outside. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We're outside. We'll be outside when you get here. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be doing it our way. And,
Right.
we're not going to be broke at the end of the night. We're not going to be taken advantage of anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Waking up in the morning not knowing, what's going on, and, I mean, I've
Mm-hmm.
lost whole checks, money. Like, I don't know where it went because I was around the
Right.
wrong folks, and
Mm-hmm.
just, the more we grow and the more we're out on the front lines of this, I think with the help of social media, this is one of the areas where social media is so powerful for us because
Right.
we reach people all over the world, reach people everywhere quickly, and let them know our side of things.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we have to definitely protect this healthy version of us, this version that we work so hard to get. And that includes self-love. Like that includes
Yep.
loving on ourselves. That same love that we give so gracefully to other people, so givingly to other people, we
Man.
got to give it to ourselves. Those I am statements. We have to literally say those I am statements to ourselves every day. And
Every day.
as hard as it is, I know it used to be super hard for me to even look in the mirror, and tell myself, hey, you're beautiful. Hey, you're intelligent. Hey, you're a successful entrepreneur. Hey, you're a published author. You know what I mean? Like, hey,
Right.
you're this, you're that. When you tell yourself that, whether you believe it yet or not, I promise you, you will start believing it. And defend access to you, defend your space around you,
Yeah.
and also the things that you allow in your spirit, the things you allow in your head. Don't let everybody speak into your life. Don't let people tell you who you are, period. Right? You tell them who you are,
Yeah.
because people have a way of, bringing us down, making us feel less than, making us feel like we're just not enough. And you are enough. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And you can have a beautiful life without drinking, right?
Right.
And you can become this just great version of yourself if you start that self-love journey. And it's pretty simple to do. You got to get that stuff that's in there, you got to get that out. And I would suggest by journaling, like start journaling, get that stuff
Yeah.
out. And the more you journal, the more you're gonna find out about yourself. Also, your likes, your dislikes, you're gonna find a whole lot about yourself if you start writing, praying, meditating, and also doing something physical. I do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and boxing. Like you have to do something. You have to take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. All three in combination is what's gonna keep you moving forward. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So tell everybody, like, what do you do now?
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Also where they can find your book and stuff too.
Yeah. So you can find my book at sobrietyinblack.com, spelled regularly, no, different spellings or anything like that. Or you can just go straight to Amazon, type in Sobriety in Black. It'll be the first link that pops up. You'll see like the bottom half of my beard, my little sobriety coin. So you can find that on Amazon. I'm actually, speaking of, physical activity, that's definitely one of the things that has helped me in my recovery is working out and fitness. I'm a
Yeah.
gym rat at this point. And I'm actually hosting my second annual alcohol free and fit challenge. I believe, yeah, you're part of the challenge. I believe, yeah,
I
you
am, yeah.
right, yeah. So it started January 2nd, but people can still join. You can go to sobrietyinblack.com to join. And what it is it's two things. One, of course, no drinking we started January 2nd to February 2nd. And then the second part of the challenge is you pick your own personal fitness or health goal. So it
Mm.
may be that, you're going to quit, alcohol and quit coffee, or it may be that maybe you want to lose weight. I think right now, because I take analytics on those goals, I think right now 60% of the people that are in the challenge are looking to lose weight. And so I plan on interviewing, weight trainer, fitness trainers and stuff to give us and giving information out to people within the group. Because once you sign up, I'll send you a packet that kind of has a SMART goal sheet, a few things that can kind of help, set you straight so that you can, go towards your goal and increase your chances of success. And so
Right.
this is the second year I've done it. A lot of people liked it from last year. I wasn't actually going to do it again this year, but folks were asking me, "Hey, you going to do it again?" I said, "Hey, why not?" Helps keep me mindful and helps bring in other people who, say there are a lot of sober, curious people out there who
Hmm.
maybe they don't know if they want to quit drinking, but my thing is, okay, we'll try and see if you can go 31 days. This has a start and an end. This is as close as I get to the moderation thing. It's like, okay, anybody who wants to can come see, test. You may say, there was a part time where I was like, I don't have, yeah, I drink a lot, but I don't have a problem. And then somebody said, well, can you go with, if you don't have a problem, then you can go without it, right?
Right,
You
right.
Okay, if you don't have a problem, then 31 days should be no problem. You can stop drinking and then use those 31 days to focus on a fitness or a health goal, And so, we
That's
track
good.
that, and I do a little broadcast each week. I'll be having check-ins where people can, kind of check in on their goals. We can talk about our goals and whatnot, and just something to kind of bring us together. And then for those who may want to start a sobriety journey, this is a great way to kind of get introduced to it and to see where you're at. Like I say in my book, like a GPS, you got to know where you're at, in order to know where you need to go to get where you are, to get where you need to
Right.
be. So this kind of gives you sets a foundation at the beginning of the year. Everybody's got the resolutions and stuff. So I figured this is a great way to start off the year,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's basically essentially what I'm doing. And I'm working on writing another book that I'm excited about. Probably be out in the next maybe 18 months, next couple.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, listen, you are welcome here at Motivation from the Heart. Literally anytime. I had a blast having a conversation with you. It just flowed naturally. So
Yeah.
definitely, thank you so much for being here
No, thank
today.
you for having me, Kim. And I love what you're doing. I've been peeping you out ever since
Yeah,
we connected out, and I love it. I definitely got to pick up your book. Matter of fact, what is
yeah.
tell me about your book? Your book, is it a journal or
Oh no, stuck between pleasure and pleasing God. It's a memoir too, but it's
okay?
also like I guess it kind of just tells you like how to start loving yourself, and it promotes healing and growing, and you know finding out who you are, like after emotional abuse, after narcissistic abuse, things like that, and just reinventing who you are.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick it up. Definitely, I'll connect with you after we get off of here, so I can get a
Okay.
copy and check it out. We definitely got to support each other. We need more Black authors. So, you guys out there, if you everybody has a story. I was to end with this. Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody has a story. You have a story. I personally believe that each one of us should write something before we leave this earth, to leave for somebody out there who needs to hear your story, who needs to hear
Yeah.
whatever insight you have, whether it's your story, whether it's your cooking, your recipes, whatever it is, everybody has something, a book in them or some kind of,
Hmm.
work in them. And so it's great to I don't know about you, but it feels good to have written a book, be published, and
Who you telling?
yeah, to know that book will outlive you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's
Hmm.
a thing. And for anybody who's been thinking about it, I encourage you. And if you need help, if we have questions about the process, it's kind of like, I know you can attest to this. Now that you've gone
Yeah.
through the process of writing a book, of course, it gets easier. You know what I'm saying? And it gets
Oh
easier.
yeah.
It can be a challenge, but once you get it done, there's nothing like it, guys. So, hey, you have a story, you're worth it. You deserve it. I don't care if it's bad, good, or otherwise. Tell it and leave it for the rest of us and contribute to the canon of healing. I just would like to leave you with that. And I definitely thank you for this. This was great, great.
Absolutely.
When I'm at your disposal, let me know. I'm here. And then definitely when I start actually interviewing people, I definitely would love to have you on as well.
Okay, absolutely. I know you're Sobriety in Black on IG, Facebook, and TikTok, right?
Yeah, everywhere. Yep, yep.
Awesome.
Yes,
Awesome. So,
yes.
guys, definitely go check them out. If you're interested in writing a book, if you've thought about it, let this year be your year. Go check him out, sobrietyinblack.com, or go hit him up on one of his Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, and let him know. He'll help you get publishing, or he'll help you answer any questions that you have. But, guys, we love you. God loves you. And one day you're going to love yourself. So, we're out.
That's right. Peace out. All right.